welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show, and time to talk with Nancy Husselman of the Eddy County DWI Task Force. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good.
Good. We were talking with Aaron about our possible Halloween costumes if we were to dress up this year. Do you still dress up for Halloween, or do you just watch the kids and the grandkids?
I watched the kids and the grandkids. A few years ago, my kids talked me into dressing up as a biker.
Oh, that was fun.
And I thought I made a pretty good-looking biker, but that's the only time I probably ever dressed up like that in my whole life. So, but my son dressed up as, I don't know what that thing was he dressed up as. But
yeah.
He like a dancer or something with a little tutu, and his face was all painted. Now we're talking about my son's 6'5", and he's a big guy.
Yeah.
So he was pretty cute.
Yeah.
He was pretty cute.
Well, now's the time. If folks are planning on what they might do for Halloween, I guess now's the time to get it all figured out, because it'll be here before you know it. Well, let's...
Yes.
One of the things I pondered with Aaron was when the social media was down.
Right.
6-7 hours yesterday.
Right.
I wonder, did we have a reduction in automobile accidents because people weren't staring at their phones? They were actually paying attention to the road and observing traffic signals and things like that?
Either it was a good thing, or people were in such a panic they were having wrecks. I don't know. I haven't investigated that, but yeah, it was a little different. I mean, it didn't make a whole lot of difference to me, but when I went to the school yesterday and I saw the kids were on their phones out on the playground. If that's what do they still call them playgrounds?
I don't know. We better check to see if that's acceptable
anymore. Anyway, and then I realized that's when I found out that things were all messed up, and I thought, that's a good thing for these kids not to be on social media, because it's a dangerous place to be.
It is.
For
it
kids.
is, and just not a good thing. Well, speaking of kids and going to the schools, as the working with the DWI task force, have you been able to get back into the schools and do some presentations and things?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. They're still very cautious, and we're still trying to navigate how to get back into and what we can do. I'm still giving them a lot of supplies so they can pass it out, but that's a little bit different. But we're working on it.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Today I want to talk about something that's happened recently. Of course, we all know about the young man that died from the drug overdose in Carlsbad,
right?
The 12-year-old. I just want to speak to some adults out there. It's not funny, and it's not cute, and it's not acceptable to give minors alcohol or drugs, whether they're paying for it or not. And I just want to know, I would like to know if the people that are doing that have a conscience. Because we had a young man that I know personally that the whole bunch of them was given alcohol. Well, this particular young man drank too much, and he got alcohol poisoning. This happened in a parking lot in Carlsbad at a football game, so there was a lot of people around. But then when he got sick, of course, his friends all disappeared, and he was left in the parking lot basically by himself. And he had drank so much that pretty soon he was laying flat on his back. He was throwing up. Well, of course, we know when that happens, it all goes back down.
Right.
And he ended up, basically, if a lady hadn't come by and saw him, we would be doing his funeral. It was that bad.
Because you suffocate.
You suffocate, literally, and then...
Or drown. I mean, it's a similar type...
It's the same thing. But this lady happened to come by and found him, and by the time they got him to the hospital, he had to be resuscitated, literally, and of course be pumped out and all of these things that happen. But it made me so angry. I thought some adult bought these kids this alcohol, Some adult that should have known better, bought these kids. And how would you feel if you woke up the next morning and found out you killed a kid? Because you thought, oh, these are just kids. They're having a good time. We've done this for hundreds of years. We've given kids alcohol and all this kind of stuff. And I wasn't able to find any stats on it, but just how many kids die from alcohol poisoning. This happens a lot in the colleges. They don't die, but they end up, well, a lot of them do, severely injured because of it. Mm-hmm. But we're talking about a 16-year-old kid that his family could be going to a funeral. Praise God, it didn't happen that way.
Right.
But just the thought of you as an adult walking into a liquor store and thinking it's perfectly okay to buy these kids this alcohol in the first place. Come on. Same way with this young man that died, this little boy, 12 years old. Who thought it was okay to give him fentanyl?
I'm thinking the people selling it don't care.
They don't care. All they want is their money.
Mm-hmm.
But where do we turn into adults again? Where do we say enough is enough? Where do we say, I'm going to turn you in if I see you doing this? I'm not going to be this person, and I was going to say nice guy, but a nice guy would have turned, or woman, whatever, would turn someone in if they saw somebody doing this. I mean, how many times have we suspected even that this is going on, but we do nothing about it, and some kid ends up in a morgue? Where do we stop this? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, and we talked about the social media, too. There's always been peer pressure.
Yes.
There's always been people who are in and kids who are out, and what do you do? But the social media, I mean, there's evidence. There's actual statistical, scientifically calculated evidence to indicate that this is pretty harmful.
Yes.
And so you not only do you question the person who sold the drugs in the first place, but you also have to wonder what we're doing by not being more proactive when it comes to access to some of these things like these social media things, and what is going through kids' minds that would lead them to think that this is a good thing to try, or
right.
something that they want to do, whether it's to start the drinking of the alcohol or drink it to the excess, like the one example you gave, or even start, I mean, how many signs do we have on parking lots and school buildings across the entire state of New Mexico that say alcohol-free, drug-free, smoke-free zone?
Right.
Obviously, the signs aren't having the impact that they should have.
And what, if any of your listeners out there have an answer, I would like to know what it is,
Oh, yeah.
or a suggestion. What can we do that is stronger that we can get through to these kids? It seems that a lot of them don't understand death in the first place. You watch on TV all the time, somebody gets shot, and you go to the next movie, and there he is. He's alive. And that's the mentality. Or they play these games, video games, and people are getting killed all the time. But it doesn't matter. We've desynthesized our kids to that point that they don't realize what death is. And maybe that's a lot of it.
It could be. Well, I think younger people, by and large, are
6 foot tall and bulletproof.
Bulletproof, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So,
but that's not a new phenomenon. But
no,
but
it's not. But you mentioned social media, and the peer pressure that comes across on that is horrific, and we all know it. I can harp on parents, but many parents, I know that the parents of this child, they pay very close attention to what the kids are doing and what's going on social media. This was supposed to have just been a trip down to Carlsbad to a football game that turned almost deadly. And sometimes I think, when are we ever going to learn? how precious these kids are, whether they're yours or whether they're mine or whether they're somebody else's. When are we going to get back to that's a precious person right there? We've got to help take care of them. If I'm like this woman that happened to walk by, she didn't just walk on by. She saved this kid's life.
Right.
So she's a bit of a hero to me right now, whoever she is, wherever she is at, that she took the time to stop and help this young man and get him help where other people, after a football game in a parking lot and nobody saw him, you think, or nobody wanted to take
nobody
the time
wanted to get
out,
involved.
Wanted to get involved.
Yeah. And the so-called friends, you said, they all ran off.
They all ran off.
Yeah.
And I hope this young man understands that those are the kind of friends he needs to get rid of.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's any kids out there listening, your life is precious. And it's up to you to take care of it, just like it's up to us to take care of our life. Because you never know who you're going to end up being. You might be the president of, I was going to say the United States, but that's an awesome place to be. But
we've had some interesting ones over the years recently.
We sure have. So
yeah.
And just remember too, if you get caught buying alcohol for minors, that there's a pretty high price to pay for that. You could go to prison if you get caught, and you should get caught. I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for you if you get caught.
Yeah.
Don't do it in the first place, and you won't have to pay the price. And on top of all of that, if these kids were driving,
yeah, how many other people were at risk?
How many other people were put at risk? And according to the American Medical Association, it shows that underage drinking is a factor in at least half of all teen deaths involving a vehicle.
Half. That's not occasional.
Yeah.
That's not every so often.
That's half of these kids that die.
Yeah.
Are dying because somebody was drinking and driving.
Yeah.
So you've got that added on to it. Somebody had to buy that alcohol for them. Was it you?
Yeah.
Did you do this? Do you want to live with the fact that you killed somebody because you were going to be that nice, fun guy and buy them alcohol or give them drugs?
Yep.
Whichever one it may be, because they're all deadly.
That's right.
So that's my major rant for the day.
Now, if folks want to learn more, I know you've got information. You said you had materials that you're bringing to the schools for the be handed out to the kids. If anybody wants to get involved with the Eddy County DWI Task Force, do they reach out to you?
Yeah. My name is Nancy Husselman. My number is 575-703-0012. I'll get it said in a minute.
Yeah. So go ahead and give that number again.
Yeah, let me try that again. 575-703-0012.
Excellent.
And I'll be glad to visit with you. And if you have any suggestions of what we could do as a overall organization that might be different, that might have an impact on not only kids, but people, that's what we do Sticker Shock for.
Right.
Is to warn people not to buy alcohol for minors.
That's right.
But I think my time's up, isn't it?
It is. It is. So, but thank you as always, and look forward to having you back here in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And we'll get that done. No, I was looking, the swine show.
The swine show
has begun at the Eastern New Mexico State Fairgrounds in Roswell. So that is up and running on ksvptv.com, and we got that on our social media.
Oh, awesome.
So maybe some of this stuff is getting finally reattached and realigned, and so I'm looking at pigs being brought out into the arena.
I'm so glad these kids are getting to do this.
Well, whether it was this one or the expo that took place up in Roswell a couple weeks ago in place of the state fair, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, that's giving these kids something to do. And they've worked so hard to be able to do this, and so
Yeah, no, it's great that it's there.
That's awesome.
So, Nancy, thank you. We'll see you.
Okay.
And that's going to wrap up the show. We've got the swine show is on there now if you want to watch it. 4 o'clock today, we'll have girls soccer versus Lovington. Their last home district game of the year today.
Okay.
And then at 6:30 tonight, Goddard Volleyball is playing Carlsbad. And so that'll be on ksvptv.com as well.
We've been watching some of the volleyball games.
Pretty exciting, aren't they?
Those girls turn it on. I mean, that was my sport, and I don't think I ever played that hard. So,
no,
had
it's
some
fun
of
to,
those moves.
It's fun to watch.
My goodness, it
yeah,
is.
It
Thank
is.
you.
All right, thanks. We are going to be done for the day, but we'll see you back here tomorrow morning. This is KSV.